The Flynn effect is the phenomenon where the average human IQ kept increasing across generations, especially during the 20th century. Some recent studies have started noticing that in a few countries, IQ scores have stopped increasing or even started going down since around 1995, which also happens to be the time the internet started becoming mainstream. And this phenomenon is called the reverse Flynn effect. So the real question here is, are we actually becoming dumber than previous generations? To understand that, first we need to look at why later generations became smarter than the ones before them. Imagine two generations, your grandparents and your parents. If you still have relatives born after World War II, you'll notice education became way more accessible during that time. Your grandparents had more opportunities to attend universities because America was heavily pushing education during that era. Around the same time, people also became more connected to mass media, starting with television. And this was also Hollywood's golden age, where images, sound, storytelling, and mass media started becoming deeply integrated into everyday life. But at the same time, most jobs back then were still repetitive, system-based, disciplined, machine-like jobs. People had to remember things, follow systems, endure routines, and repeat processes constantly. Kinda sad, but honestly kinda lucky for them too. Now, let's look at our parents growing up in the 1970s. This generation grew up alongside the first wave of video games. Education became broader, ads, symbols, and visual media became way more common, and the first personal computers started appearing. Humans began interacting more with data, screens, systems, symbols, and standardized IQ testing itself. Our parents grew up during the transition from an industrial society into an information society. And according to standardized IQ tests, this generation basically hit peak IQ. So compared to our grandparents, our parents developed stronger abstract thinking and data processing abilities in a way that looked smarter according to IQ standards. You could say the formula for each generation becoming smarter was pretty simple: better nutrition, better education, smaller families, and better healthcare. When a child eats better, gets sick less, learns more, has more time to develop, and grows up in an environment filled with cognitive stimulation, their brain naturally gets more chances to develop too. But then something kind of depressing happened. Data from the US between 2006 to 2018 from a study involving 394,378 adults started showing signs of the reverse Flynn effect in certain cognitive abilities, although not equally across every skill. Which basically means around the early internet era in 1995, when the internet first started growing, some areas of cognition slowly began declining as the internet became more mainstream. The declining abilities included composite ability scores, letter and number series, and even worse, some analyses showed our critical thinking skills might have dropped insanely hard. One major reason is that our ability to store information has significantly decreased compared to previous generations because of something called the Google effect. We no longer need to remember information ourselves anymore. Instead, we just remember that the information exists and search for it when needed. Let's be real, you're never gonna open this. Then there's focus. We're struggling massively with concentrating on boring things that are actually useful for us. Stuff like reading books, learning skills, sitting down and doing deep work for a few hours, or simply finishing one task without checking our phone 17 times. And the reason is because we've spent years exposing ourselves to extremely short and fast dopamine hits. Short-form videos, notifications, drama, memes, messages, games, social media, all of it is training our brains to expect constant rewards. And once your brain gets addicted to fast rewards, slow and difficult things that require patience suddenly start feeling unbearable. That's also why a lot of people easily mistake themselves for having psychological disorders like ADHD, which I already made a video about. You can click the top right corner if you want to watch it later. Alongside that comes a bunch of other brain fog symptoms too, like relying too heavily on tools, giving up quickly, declining cognitive ability, and more. So, does that mean we're getting dumber? Not exactly. Look at our grandparents. A lot of people from older generations know very little about technology and constantly need us to help them with tech-related stuff. Installing apps, sending pictures, opening accounts, all of that shows we have way stronger technology skills than previous generations. And not just because we're younger, but because we were literally born into a completely different environment. At the same time, our ability to search for information, compare information, and personalize our schedules is something that makes us completely different from older generations. And honestly, that's another form of intelligence too. It's just not the kind measured by memorizing long number sequences or solving logic chains from old IQ tests. Because we were born in an era where even the craziest CGI movie scenes don't feel as impressive as they did in the 2000s anymore, our brains now process visuals and digital interfaces completely differently. We read visuals insanely fast, understand symbols quickly, recognize interfaces quickly, and sometimes understand context, emotions, and messages from just a quick glance. That's also a cognitive ability. It's just different from the kind of intelligence older generations were tested on. So the answer isn't simply whether we're becoming dumber than previous generations or not. A better question might actually be, are we still compatible with old standardized IQ tests? Because there are many other forms of intelligence developing inside us right now that those tests never measured. Most of them only focus on logic and memory, while visual processing, technology connection, searching ability, and adaptation to digital environments are becoming the actual strengths of our generation. But there's also something important worth noticing. Most of Gen Z is struggling heavily with mental health issues right now. And these issues have increased way more compared to previous generations. That's also part of what the internet has given us. The internet gives us knowledge, connection, tools, and opportunities. But it also gives us non-stop comparison, non-stop pressure, information overload, hyper-fast dopamine, and the feeling that we constantly need to become a better version of ourselves. And yeah, these are just the things I've personally researched and learned about. If there's anything inaccurate, feel free to debate me in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and sub so I can keep researching more topics like this. And if you feel like you might be struggling with ADHD-related issues, click the video right here. It won't disappoint you. Paw signing out. Stay sharp, stay weird.